Lara Croft is the most famous video game character in the whole world, but are the games actually any good? As someone who has never really gotten into the Tomb Raider franchise, I have recently completed my first playthrough of the 2015 Rise of the Tomb Raider, and as a complete newbie to the franchise, I am here to show you my thoughts on this nearly 10-year-old game and how it holds up. For a disclaimer, as a kid I did dabble on the old Tomb Raider games on the PlayStation 1, but I could never really get into the robotic like controls. Heck, for me, locking the butler in the fridge was actually quite difficult. Of course my expectations for the mechanics on the new Tomb Raider game were a lot higher, but a part of me was still a little bit nervous about him, but luckily I was completely wrong, and the mechanics are that similar to the Uncharted games, which I do love. Lara Croft as a character is an intelligent treasure hunting archaeologist with a keen sense of survival, and this game did not disappoint in displaying that. I remember being attacked by a tiger in the older games and then turning off the PlayStation because I couldn't cope with the anxiety. Rise of the Tomb Raider at times gives me the same anxiety, but I'm quite a lot older and a tiny bit braver. The survival aspect of this game really puts you on edge on occasion, especially when you are in early games with early game weapons such as the basic bow and arrow, although when you unlock automatic assault rifles and shotguns, the game does get significantly less tense knowing that you can just blow away anything that crosses your path. There are lots of weapons to unlock in this game, and upgrades can be done by using found resources or hunting materials. I upgraded my weapons whenever I got the chance, but I never really felt a need to use any other weapons other than the basic ones you get at the beginning of the game. Once you unlock a silencer, the pistol becomes quite godly, and to be honest, the bow was already pretty decent in the first place. The shotgun came in handy when there was lots of enemies around in big battles. I occasionally used an assault rifle, but to be honest, most of the time it was just a pistol and the bow. There are multiple different versions of most weapons, such as a large selection of rifles and shotguns, but to be honest, any one does just fine. The upgrades which you can do near the fast travel campfires were pretty cool with plenty of options, but the first plan of action for me was to upgrade the carrying capabilities with Lara's satchel. The downside to hunting for resources is that in most of the times you can't actually use anything to upgrade your weapons until you have the skin of a larger animal such as a bear, which are incredibly rare to come by. In fact, I don't even think they ever respawn once they're defeated. Maybe it's just to incentivize players to play the game again once it's completed. The gameplay is really fun in Rise of the Tomb Raider, from sneaking up on enemies, climbing mountains, or just fighting off a pack of wolves. But this doesn't mean the game is without fault, as Lara randomly starts jumping in the wrong directions, or the animation of a stealth kill become so long and too much movement that if you stealth kill somebody on the top of a bridge, for example, Lara might just fall off the bridge with them and die. But even with this large amount of clumsy gameplay issues, I would say the gameplay as a whole tends to have way more positives than negatives. The main story, however, is something that I felt absolutely zero attachment to. I just feel like it felt very mid. I really tried to invest in the story, but after about 60% of the game, I just had to call it quits and didn't pay attention anymore. As far as the storytelling goes, I just really can't pinpoint on what didn't captivate me, but maybe it's because the gameplay was just so much better than the actual story. I really have no idea. Towards the end of the game, Rise of the Tomb Raider pulled out the boring cliches that the older Uncharted games did and brought in lifeless, mystical enemies with a very poor explanation. I'm not too sure if these weird, far-fetched scenarios are common in Tomb Raider games, but personally I don't like it, and it takes away the feel of the survival immersion. There was a point in this game when I came across my first tiger, and that scared the life out of me. I had to run away while fighting and looking behind me and shooting away, and that gave me 10 times more thrill than when I was fighting these undead enemies. They should have kind of leaned into that more. I don't know what they're gonna do, maybe add more animals at the end or something, I have no idea, but it would have been a lot better than ancient magic. I didn't realise at all when playing this game, but it turns out I had all of the DLC, so when I hit a certain point in the story, I was absolutely bombarded with additional missions, weapons and outfits, to the point where I felt really overwhelmed. I only did a few of these missions before figuring out how to progress with the main story, but from what I played, the weird voodoo boss DLC was pretty interesting. I'm going to go back and play that at some point. It felt like a nice little spin-off to the main arc. DLC weapons were just more of a variety to the weapons that you already had, so I didn't really care too much for that because, like I said, they are all pretty good anyway. The outfit changes were nice, but there was nothing too extreme or out of the ordinary, mainly just a wide selection of winter coats for little Lara to play dress up. And when I say little Lara, I genuinely mean that. I don't know if it was the developer's intentions, but for some reason, when Lara Croft is stood next to absolutely any NPC in this game, she is tiny. She is always looking full head up. But I tell you what, being small doesn't stop her. She is small and mighty. You go, Lara. Now, this wouldn't be a Tomb Raider game without, well, tombs to raid, and this game sure does have that. There are many optional tombs to explore around the map, each with unique puzzles to help you either reach point A to B through the remains of a fallen temple or navigate through old ancient traps. Each tomb gives you a useful upgrade as a reward, which is really cool considering they are optional. Most games, when something is optional, it's usually to get a bit more XP, but on Rise of the Tomb Raider it actually gives you a useful reward, a good ability, which the ability is sometimes required to do some of the submissions in this game, so I actually felt like it was worth doing them. There is just so much content in this game that I just genuinely don't have the time to go through all of them, but to paint a picture of how much content is in this game, I had just under 24 hours gameplay, and on that I had about 32 achievements. That is 32 achievements out of 143. So yeah, if you are a completionist, you definitely have your work cut out for you. Finally, to summarise Rise of the Tomb Raider, I will give this game a 7.5 out of 10 from me. I absolutely loved the gameplay and the beautiful scenery, but the story just didn't quite do it for me. There was too many glitches and flimsy movements in the exploration to make this game a little bit too frustrating at times, but overall I really enjoyed playing this game. I feel like I will go back and do a lot of the submissions and the DLC missions at a later date, but 143 achievements kind of demotivates me. If you are looking for a fun single player game you want to get stuck into for a couple of weekends, then I do highly recommend Rise of the Tomb Raider. This game is usually on sale a lot, and the sale price can go down to even £3, which is very, very cheap. This review is from me, Mark, from YouTube channel Modern Tech. I really do hope you guys like, subscribe, comment, do everything you can to help support the channel because it is really appreciated. I do lots of reviews, I also do lots of fixes and how-tos, so please check out this channel and support me on my journey. If you would like me to review any other games, please leave them in the comments below. Would you like me to do any more Tomb Raider games? Let me know. And as always, it's Mark from Modern Tech. Thanks for watching. Hey, an animal, a tiger. I'm not prepared, I'm not prepared, I'm scared. There you go.